March until August 2026. All right. So my contact number is there. My email is also there. Okay. So we have discussed on the course objective. Okay, let us look at the course content for week one. You're supposed to kick off with introduction to research, okay, and then type of research and whatever. Okay, the first block of the lecture will be 8 weeks, 8 minggu, until 22nd of May, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, but I'm not going to start today, so I'm going to start fresh next week. Yeah, so next week kita akan mula dengan chapter 1 and so on. Okay, and as I said previously, on week 2, which is supposed to be next week, we are going to actually discuss on the content of your research proposal. And inshallah, I will try to share with you as much as possible with regards to the outline of what the research proposal is all about. Okay, and then we're going to proceed with research problem identification for week 3, and then week 4 we're going to focus on literature review. So like I said, okay, there is few things that I need to you to do this week. Saya perlu you buat minggu ini, okay, which is very very important because that will determine at the end of the day of how we want to go about this semester. So I hope that you pay enough attention later on, okay, as to how you will work on your research proposal. Then can only, after you have done that part, then can only you start with the literature, with the problem identification or whatever that is needed in your research proposal. Okay, and then week 5 we will continue with development of conceptual framework. We'll be discussing on different type of framework that is available, okay, in research. And then of course we will be talking a little bit on the hypothesis. So like I mentioned in the last class, for BA262 I think there is no issue with regards to the hypothesis because it will be like a fresh start. But for other groups such as BA273, since they are doing analytics, okay, at the same time with research methodology, so they might need to realign few things because the testing of the hypothesis, even though it is using the same cut of numbers, but the way hypotheses are being written or being explained is a little bit or slightly different. Yeah. And then week 6, we're going to actually cover research design. So this is very important, very vital in your research proposal because this is the beginning that will constitute your chapter 3. Yang akan menghasilkan chapter 3 nanti. Okay, and then week 7, we're going to continue with sampling, which is also part of your chapter 3, as well as week 8 on the measurement of variables. Okay, but I think this one you have learned it during your Mgt651. So it's just like a refresh session only because we are still using the same measurement or the 4 different measurements. Only that in terms of how the data are being collected is slightly different to what you have learned in your Mgt651. And then we'll be going for the mid-term break, which is from 25th until the 2nd of June. And then the class will resume, kalau tak salah saya, 2nd of June tu ialah hari Selasa atau hari Rabu. Okay, and then week 9, once you come back from your mid-term break, so the second part of the block, which is the third session, we're going to continue with the method of data collection. And then week 10, okay, this is where, like I said last class, you need to focus a little bit more because you will be doing the SPSS assignment, okay, where most of this assignment will be demonstrated to you during the week 10 on the quantitative data analysis. Okay, then I hope that I can actually cover this as early as possible, maybe on week 9. Kalau boleh lah ya, supaya you have enough time and then you have the room to discuss with me of what you are going to do and how you are going to go about with your analysis. Okay, and then on week 11, like I said, it's just merely the simple discussion on the qualitative data analysis. There's not much on it, okay? And then week 12 will be focusing on the research report. You need to learn this as well, even though you are not actually required to produce a research report, but at least you need to understand of what you are going to encounter if you were to proceed to the higher level of your study. Okay, and then week 13, we'll be focusing on the group presentation and then group project submission, which is your proposal. And hopefully we'll be able to have a test on week 14. But for the last 2 semesters, we did not manage to have it on week 14 because most of the students are so busy and occupied on week 14 because other lecturers are also planning or organizing a test. Okay, so since ours are online, so we'll try to be more flexible. Okay, and for the last 2 semesters, we have it on week 15, which is your study week. Jadi bergantung kan ya. So I won't guarantee that we will be able to have it on week 14. Okay, but for sure it will be as later as will be on week 15. Paling lewat to week 15. Okay, so for the structured assessment, for the first block, which is week 1 to week 5, we don't have any type of assignment. Maknanya tidak ada satu assignment pun yang you kena hantar dan sebagainya. Okay, merely you just continue doing your proposal. But for block 2, okay, this is from week 6 to week 10. If you notice just now, week 10 is supposed to be quantitative data analysis. So on week 10, since you have learned about SPSS and all the analysis, you are required to actually submit or work on your individual assignment, which is the SPSS assignment. Yeah, but I don't think it will give you quite an issue on that because it will be just a very straightforward. Okay, I will provide you with the data and it's up to you to be creative in a way of analyzing the given data. Okay, in terms of the last block, okay, you will have your group presentation and your research proposal submission, and hopefully we'll be able to have your test before the study week. Yeah, but worst come to worst, then we will utilize your study week for your test. And again, the test will be online through the ebook platform. So therefore, you need to subscribe to the ebook. I will send to you the link later on. Yeah, hopefully, I think the publisher already sent the link to our group, and I will forward the link to you so that you can actually subscribe to the ebook. Okay, as for the cost evaluation, I think you are clear with it, okay, with all the assessment. So you have your proposal report, which is 30%. You have your assignment, which is the individual SPSS assignment, which is 20%. And you have your group presentation, 20%. And then you have your online test, which is another 30%. Okay, here are some important dates that you need to pay attention to. So the first one will be the entrance survey. So you need to do your entrance survey by 3rd of May. Okay, before 3rd of May. And then your assignment should be submitted on week 10 or maybe week 11, depending. If we manage to put everything in on week 10, then week 10 will be the submission or the final draft. Okay, and then we have the group presentation. Okay, but on week 10, we will also have submission for the SPSS. And then on week 14 is the submission of the group project, which is the proposal. Okay, I would welcome if you want to actually check with me, okay, in terms of the progress of your proposal from time to time. Jangan you buat senyap-senyap sampai tiba-tiba minggu ke-14 submit je, ya, kita takut salah. But I believe that most of the students will come and check their proposal whether it fulfill the requirement or not. And then your exit survey and so forth will be on the 29th of June until the 2nd of August. That's been during your final examination. Okay, and then as like I said, okay, we try to schedule your test on week 14, which is between 6 to 12 of July. But worst come to worst, then maybe we'll be having it on the week 15 or within the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. So these are your recommended texts that like I mentioned previously. So we have Schindler Services Research Method. Okay, this is an ebook that we will be using, and then we have Talent Survival SPSS Survival Manual. Okay, that one is optional. And number one is compulsory. Number two is optional. And then we also have other references that you can refer to in case you want to understand more about research method. So we have Sundram et al. Okay, on research methodology, and then we have the Muhammad et al. Yes, as a statistic for data analysis, mediating and moderating analysis. Okay, great. I think you are very much familiar of. Okay, any questions so far?
Setakat ni tak ada.
Okay, can you read this one on the screen? Or is it
Yes,
too
sir.
small?
Boleh doktor?
Boleh ya. All right, so this is the guideline, the research proposal guideline. So I'll be giving you the skeleton of the research proposal for you to work with. Okay, but this is just a general guideline in order to assist you with your research proposal. Okay, this one later I'll try to send it to you as well. Okay, because this has not been finalized yet. Okay, but basically what should be in the research proposal. So the structure of the project paper, so basically it's a normal research paper. You have the front cover, okay, where you have the name, okay, but I don't want them, I don't want the name of the lecturers, I tak nak. All right, and then we have the acknowledgement, table of content, list of tables. Yang ini saya akan hantar, nanti saya akan bagi skeleton for you to work with. And then we have the list of figures, and then we'll start with the text of the research proposal starting from chapter 1. So these are the content. If you can see here under chapter 1, these are the contents or the skeleton that you need to fill in the blanks. So in chapter 1, we need the introduction, which is the background of study, problem statement, research question, research objective, significance of the study, scope of the study, limitation of the study, and definition of main variables. So this one I will discuss with you from time to time in the class. And maybe if you have a summary or chapter conclusion, as a transition to the next chapter. So chapter 2 will be on the literature review. So this is where your reading will actually assist you in coming up with a proper literature review, proper citations. So these are just some examples, but I think you have read journals before. You know how academic journals are being written. Okay, so normally we don't actually propose or come up with a statement without the citation. Yeah, so we use a lot of citations. So that is why you need to read a lot. Yeah, makin banyak you baca, so makin banyaklah citation, makin banyaklah backup yang you boleh masukkan. Just to actually support whatever argument, whatever issue, whatever discussion that you later on put in your research proposal. So chapter 2 for the literature review, it depends on few things. Number one, the length. Yeah, the length. So chapter 2 is supposed to be one of the longest chapter yang paling panjang. Kenapa dia paling panjang? Because it depends on how many variables that you have. So for this Mgt651, I don't want you to venture too much. Okay, I think the maximum of independent variable will be 5. Itu maximum. Maksud saya jangan salah faham bukan minimum, maximum. But minimum is 3. Okay, so you can have either 3 independent variable, 4 independent variable, 5 independent variable, but not up to more than 5. Sampai 6, 7 buat apa kan? Kita nak buat proposal. Okay, as for the dependent variable, only one dependent variable. So this one also you need to be very clear. That is why that whatever that you have learned during your MGT 555, okay, you will be able to actually realign, okay, and understand what we mean by the independent and dependent variable. Yes, I will actually repeat on the explanation, I will actually discuss with you, okay, the role of each different variable that is available in research. But at the same time, I want you to be clear of the normal variables that are commonly used in research, yang biasanya digunakan dalam penyelidikan. Alright, so for dependent variable hanya satu saja, ya. Tapi untuk independent variable tidak boleh melebihi 5 tapi tidak kurang dari 3. Ya, so not less than 3 but not more than 5. So you boleh ada 3, 4 dan 5 bergantung. Okay, why this is so important? If you have more variables, then you need to read more on each variables. Then you need to write more on each variables. So this variable will dictate the length of your literature. And this variable will also dictate the length of your analysis. This will also dictate almost everything, okay, starting from your chapter 1. So do be careful about this. Yeah, sometimes kita tak nampak, kita tengok, oh tak apalah, buat 5 je lah. 3 sikit sangat, buat 5. You tak tahu kerja dia macam mana. So how much work and effort that you need to put in, okay, when you have a lot of variables. Sebab itu kita limitkan 5 sahaja. So bergantung. Okay, the numbers of these variables will depend on whatever theory that you try to bring in. It is not like simply picking up macam you putih daripada pasar, it's not that simple. Okay, the selection of the variables depend on the literature. Sebab itu saya kata you kena baca banyak, so you faham, okay, untuk permasalahan ini apa variable dia, untuk permasalahan ini apa variable dia. Dia bukan macam petik buah di pokok kan, like you plucking orange from the tree, ya. You boleh bubuh apa saja, no. Dan dia bukannya tom yam ataupun rojak ataupun pasembur, you boleh campur-campur, tak. Okay, because everything is being limited by theory. That one will be discussed in the class later on, and hopefully it should enlighten on how you look at things. Sebab tu kalau you tanya pensyarah-pensyarah yang tengah belajar ke buat PhD ke, atau you tanya kakak you, abang you tengah buat master atau PhD by research, sakit kepala, because it's not that simple. You cannot just simply put anything. Yeah, it is governed and warranted by the theory that you apply in your research. Yeah, again. Yeah, so therefore I would actually recommend between 3 to 5 for independent variable and only 1 for dependent variable. Don't go for too much, yeah, because you have to understand of your time limitation or time constraint. Okay. So if you were to ask me, so student selalu tanya saya, doktor berapa muka surat, doktor berapa ni, doktor berapa ni, no. It's not about the number of pages. The number of pages depends on what you want to write, how well do you write, and is it able to convince people. Yeah, so research is about convincing people. It's not just like you baca tulis novel. Itu semua panggil fantasy kan. Tapi this is facts and figure. Yeah, so the thickness, how many pages, that depends on how well you elaborate things, how well you explain things, and does people understand all the variables that you want to explain. Jadi jangan tanya saya berapa banyak, berapa muka surat, dia bergantung. So we look forward for maybe 30 to 40 pages of research proposal, yeah, depending on the number of variables again. Okay, so you can see here, okay, for the definition of findings, so you have the dependent variable, independent variable, and so on. So that this one, like I said, preferred will be not less than 3, okay, but not more than 5. Okay, and then we move to chapter 3, which is the final chapter for a proposal. So kalau you cakap, doktor apa guna proposal ni? Inilah contoh, kalau contoh you nak sambung belajar dekat overseas, you nak buat PhD, you nak buat master by research, so they will require you to produce a proposal. So proposal content of 3 chapter, dia ada 3 chapter je. Introduction, literature review dan juga methodology, research methodology. All right, so we'll kick off with the research design, which is supposed to be your chapter 6, yeah. And then kita ada population and sampling, looking at different sampling technique. Yang ini pun nanti kita can discuss thoroughly. And I leave it to you to decide which will be the best sampling techniques on the sample size for your proposed research. Okay, but you don't have to actually collect data, yeah. And then questionnaire design. So hopefully you'll be able to come up with a questionnaire as well, because we will be trying to actually go through several theories that will support the measurement of your variables, and then data collection, descriptive statistic analysis, and so on. And this one later on I'll discuss with you thoroughly when I send you the skeleton. Yeah. So basically skeleton ni lebih kurang je. Cuma kerja you sekarang adalah fill in the blank. Faham tak maksud saya? Maknanya bila kita bagi you rangka tu, tugas you adalah mengisi rangka tu. You tak payah pecah kepala pun nak fikir susunan dia. Kita bagi susunan tu, you isi je. Contohnya kat sini. Okay, purpose of study. So purpose of study you apa? Nak explore ke, understanding ke, testing relationship ke. So semua itu ada dalam buku. You cuma pilih sahaja yang paling sesuai dan tulis di bawahnya. Okay, atau kita kata time horizon. Time horizon kita ada cross-sectional, kita ada longitudinal. So your research adalah apa? Kalau research you jangka panjang, mungkin longitudinal. Kalau research you just sekali buat je, mungkin itu cross-sectional. So you as a researcher ataupun you, the group as a researcher, okay, you must be able at the end of the day to decide all these research method that you are going to actually apply in your research. You kena buat keputusan tu sendiri. Saya tak boleh, saya cuma boleh hajar you dan you pilih lah. Yang ini sesuai ke, yang ini sesuai ke, yang mana lebih tepat dengan apa yang you perlukan. Yeah. So on my part, I'll be teaching you just for you to understand, okay, what are the options available. But on your side is the one that will decide whether you want to use this method or this approach or this process, this instrument. That is all on the researcher. Yeah. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, for the references, we are using APA style. Yang ini pun perlu you have to understand the way reference are made. Okay, I'll try to share with you these guidelines so that you have an idea. But basically, you can search it APA style untuk references. Okay. Ini margins dia nanti kita akan discuss lagi lah ya, font and spacing dan sebagainya. Font ni biasa senang je ya, cuba, okay. I need you to be very careful about selecting the font because some of the font look similar. Contohnya, Calibri dengan Arial itu hampir sama. Verdana dengan Times New Roman hampir sama. But when you produce a report, it's either you use Arial ataupun Times New Roman. Cuma bezanya kalau Times New Roman 12, Arial biasanya 11. Sebab Arial ni lebih besar. Dia lebih tinggi. Font dia. Yeah? Okay. All your report is subject to similarity. Subject to similarity rate. Turn it in. So as far as for the system or for your ITM, we still maintain less than 30% similarity. Ya, kurang dari 30% persamaan. Okay, untuk AI is 30% of AI detection as well. Tetapi saya di sini saya akan a bit lenient because I know that some of you, whether I like it or not, you tetap akan pakai ChatGPT, you tetap akan pakai Jenny, you tetap akan pakai Gemini, apa sajalah AI yang ada. Cuma like I said, okay, please try to humanize things. Jangan terlampau robot. Yeah. So even though it's a request of 30% of AI detection, so on this part I'll try to be a little bit more lenient. Tapi janganlah sampai 75% AI kan. You tak boleh langsung semua AI you yang buat, and it's a big issue, yeah, in terms of the genuinity and authenticity. Okay, so that will be on your research proposal. As for your assignments, SPSS assignment, which is the individual assignments, okay, so you are required to analyze data, okay, and then learn about open and import your data cleaning, okay, so those are the things that you need to learn. So I will be teaching you on how to conduct tests, beginning from A to the last one, A to Z, about data using SPSS. Even though you are required to go for data cleaning, such as missing values and everything, but I don't think that will be necessary. I'm just going to show you how to do things, okay, and hopefully you can just start from step 4, yeah. Step 1, 2, 3 tu mungkin is a basic things lah, nanti saya akan tunjukkan lah, okay, mungkin step 3 you nak buat reliability test, and then you have step 4, demographic analysis, and then step 5, descriptive, correlational, and then you have the regression analysis, okay. But whatever it is, the most important thing is you be able to analyze and at the same time interpret. Ya, you boleh menghasilkan output, ya, at the same time you must be able to interpret, menerangkan apa dapatan you. So that is more important. So I will demonstrate to you, and in case that you have any issues, I will also share with you the video link so that you can actually access on how to use SPSS for this particular test. Okay, and then of course we are looking at overall clarity and report writing. Okay, structure, even though it's just a individual assignment, but still you need to write it in a proper manner. Means that you have the introduction, you have the conclusion, you have what it takes as an essay. Yeah, all right. Okay, this one is subject to similarity and AI detection, but I'm not going to be serious about this because these are merely analysis. And most of the explanation for the output is what we call generic or universal in nature. Maknanya orang semua menggunakan perkataan yang sama, ayat yang sama. Yeah, so I think it's not fair to have a similarity check on your individual SPSS assignment. Okay. So this is your presentation guideline. So yeah, basically you have like 20 minutes of presentation. Yeah. For me, the most important thing that everyone must present. Okay, and of course, looking at 20 minutes, so you should have around maybe 10 to 15 slides only. 10 hingga 15 slides saja. Okay, covering all the content in your research proposal. Maknanya kalau ni student selalu tanya saya, nak present apa? Semua dia. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. Tetapi dalam try to work on the slide supaya dia tidak terlampau banyak because you only have 20 minutes. Okay, so those slides should cover the background and the problem statement, the research question, research objective, of the literature review, or the what we call table form literature, and then of course your research method, encompass your research design, your sampling technique, data collection, as well as data analysis. So saya tak tahulah, mungkin average average satu slide mungkin 1 minit. Jadi you ada 20 minit, mungkin maximum will be around 20 slides. Tapi of course kalau kita gunakan word arts, kita gunakan diagram instead of a full essay, itu mungkin kita boleh shorten the period ataupun shorten the number of slides. So saya biasanya average ialah satu slide ialah 2 minit lah, depending on whatever that you put on the slide lah. Jadi 2 minutes. So kalau kata you have 10 slide, dah 20 minutes. Okay, so plus and minus, the first slide will be the cover page, and the last slide will be the thank you or Q&A, whatever. Okay, so maybe 12 slide to 15 slide. So that is, I think, a lot, already a lot, because So it is a presentation, bukan a reading competition. Ya. Yang ini pun saya nak ingatkan juga kepada pelajar semester 5 ni ya. I think you need to brush up your presentation skill. Not to say that you need to be fluent, accurate or whatever in terms of the presentation, but at least you have that professionalism. Yeah, you you be able to present without the assistance of anything, without the assistance of the slide. Kebanyakan pelajar dia buat slide tu macam karangan. Jadi end up bukannya dia present, dia membaca. Dia jadi reading competition. Baca je slide tu daripada A sampai Z kan. Jadi I don't think that is proper lah. So try not to rely too much on the slide dan menyebabkan kita akhirnya terlampau membaca slide. I want you to be natural because this is something that you do for maybe 10 or 12 weeks, your proposal. So you should know better inside out. Luar dan dalam you patutnya lebih memahami apakah isi kandungannya. Kalau setengah universiti dia dah tak pernah akan guna slide dalam presentation. Dia nak student tu sendiri internally spell out whatever that he or she have been writing for the last maybe one semester. Okay, so these are the breakdowns, okay, for the research proposal, SPSS assignments, and then online presentation. Okay, any questions so far? Ada soalan?
So far tak ada, sir.
Okay guys, now I want you to do something. I really need your cooperation. Okay, you boleh buka kamera, tak ada masalah. Okay, because we need to discuss a very important thing. So hopefully by this week or maybe Monday, I should have received the list of the groups and the group members. By Monday class rep
Saya akan share sekarang, Doktor.
Okay. So, for all the groups and their members, I want you to think. Okay, so this is very important and very critical. I want you to think of a research topic. Okay. At first, I want to give you the topic. The topic I think is not fair. So what I want you to do is that I want you to give a thought on what will be the topic that is worth researching at this point of time. Faham tak? Cuba kau buka kamera. Nanti tengok sama ada korang sedar atau tak. Okay, can you do that? Faham tak maksud saya? Saya nak awak memikirkan apakah tajuk yang paling sesuai dikaji atau diselidik pada saat ini. So I can give you a few examples. AI, cyber security, automation, integrity, Apa lagi? Apa lagi sesuai di study pada dikaji pada masa sekarang? So I want you to propose a topic for your research proposal by next week. Hmm? Nampak tak fikir? Alright, macam mana? Saya tahu awak mungkin rasa macam awak kena baca dulu jurnal. Faham tak? So you need to go through the journals. Alright. And then barulah you jumpa. So now I want you just to discuss among your group members. Okay, discuss among you. Okay, what do you intend to do? Okay, katalah you nak buat AI. Okay, you want to do something on AI. So I want you to go into the internet, into the journal directory, into Emerald ke apa ke. Okay, see what have people been doing for the last 3 to 5 years. Ya, apa yang orang dah buat tentang AI dalam 3 hingga 5 tahun ke belakang. Yeah. And then come propose your idea, your topic, your context. Contohnya, factors influencing the usage of artificial intelligence in education. Dapat tak? Faham tak maksud saya? Ataupun baca-baca situ, okay, you tengok banyak orang buat kajian tentang automation dari segi pekerjaan apa ataupun penggunaan automation untuk apa. So, you propose lah, you want to study on what? Kan? What do you want to have a look at? Boleh tak? Are you there?
Boleh.
Boleh doktor. Faham, doktor.
Boleh doktor.
You fikirkan, okay, you fikirkan benda yang sekarang ni menjadi perbualan hangat lah. Ya, contohnya kalau sekarang ni memang orang bercakap pasal AI, orang bercakap pasal cyber security, orang bercakap pasal mungkin dari segi pekerjaan, work from home, kan, isu apa, krisis tenaga dan sebagainya. So, You go into the internet, find all those studies pertaining the area that you are interested in, and then see what people have done and try to replicate. Yeah, try to replicate. Okay, for your level, replication is allowed. Okay, tetapi untuk higher level, kita tak benarkan replication. Okay, so that is one thing that is very, very, very important and critical at this point of time. Sebab kalau selagi you tidak decide what area that you want to do, what topic that you want to actually put into your proposals, so you cannot proceed with the whole literature search, you cannot proceed with the write-up of the background of studies, and so it will actually delay the progress of your research proposal. So that is why I want you to actually focus, take time, use all these available time before you dalam kesibukan you beraya ni kan, just to finalize the area of study and the topic that you want to propose. So the area of study you decide, the topic that you want to propose is based on the journals that you have looked into, you have read into for the last 3 to 5 years. Okay, so apa yang orang buat, then you start to replicate. Kalau you nak ambil framework dia pun tak ada masalah. Kalau you nak pinjam variable dia pun tak ada masalah. Ya, tetapi at least you know, because once you have the topic, then can only you proceed dengan you punya pembacaan. Selagi you tak ada topik, you tak tahu, nanti you baca macam-macam. You baca A, you baca B, you baca C dan lain satu apa pun tak berhasil. Right? Boleh tak? Decide on the area dulu.
Boleh
Ada
Dr.
tak yang dah ada tajuk? Ada siapa-siapa yang dah ada tajuk tak? Ataupun benda yang dia nak buat? Belum lagi. Atau bayangan-bayangan dalam kepala dia? Mungkin dia dah ada macam, jomlah kita buat tajuk ni lah. Macam best je. Ataupun you nak kaji contohnya kesan AI kepada pembelajaran ataupun kesan keberkesanan pembelajaran dari rumah kan, PDPR ataupun online learning kan, ataupun you nak buat something, so online learning boleh juga, it's one of the issue, online learning, online working and work from home semua ni, these are the current issues that people are facing. Okay, dengan issue of energy shortage yang memungkinkan kita ataupun memerlukan kita to conserve the energy, okay, in order to survive. Okay, so maybe you can look into that lah. So those are the few areas that you can pay attention to. Okay, sebab I don't know what is in your head or what have you learned previously. So therefore, I open this up to you so that you can actually decide on your own. But it doesn't mean you boleh macam bangun pagi, gosok gigi, dapat tajuk, tak boleh ya. So you kena baca. Okay, so we have to read the previous research, past research, journals, articles. Okay, so that you have an idea. Oh, okay. For the last 5 years, orang dah bincang pasal cyber security. Okay, apa yang membincangkan? Apa variables dia? Apa kajian? What would be the topic of research? Then you try to actually either replicate or improvise whatever there is in the literature. Dapat idea tak? Ada masalah? Okay, open. Now you can ask me anything. Kalau ada kemusykilan, kekonfusan, feel free to ask me. Okay, I expect to see your first draft next week. Yeah. Iaitu untuk idea generation. So I will sending you the stage 1 until stage 7 tu, until stage 1 to stage 5. And then we'll see how you work with it. And then from there on, okay, maybe we can actually discuss and come up with decide on something that will be much accommodative to your needs. Okay, guys. Again, please do not forget to verify your attendance. Mungkin next week kalau boleh tolong buka kamera lah, kan penat lah cakap dengan skrin ni. Kan kalau cakap macam ni bagus saya hantar video je kan. You boleh tengok video 800 kali pun tak apa. At least tambah view dekat YouTube channel saya kan. Alright, so I think I'm gonna leave you. Okay, just to ni. But ingat ya, leaving you early macam ni, okay, something that I will as well. Sebab susah kita mengajar online ni untuk kita discuss face to face. Okay, for those who are in Melaka, you can just drop by if you need to discuss with me anything. Okay, for those outside of Melaka, then this is the only medium that we have to discuss. So whatever it is, please, by this week, by Monday, I want the list of the groups. Dah hantar. Ada dah hantar tu. Saya check lah kalau ada tak ada. So saya nak tahu nama bilangan grup dan juga ahli-ahlinya. Yang keduanya, I want to know your topic of research. So dekat grup tu, contoh group 1. Okay, group 1, Claudia, Ifa. Okay, tajuknya apa? Okay, so use this weekend to decide on that. By Monday, I want everything in the WhatsApp group. Alright, so thank you very much guys. Take care. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doktor. Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Doktor.
Kau jangan sama dengan pensyarah pula. Pensyarah